Hello everyone, welcome to the first lecture on Python programming. So we just be talking about basic concepts today. So before we get into that, you need an environment to run your program. So if you already have a text editor such as VS Code, I recommend you go with that. But if you're just starting out and you have no idea, I recommend you go with this website, online-python.com. So just open up Google, Brave, any search engine of your choice and just type online-python.com and this would bring you to this code editor, okay, where you can write your program right here. You can run your code and you will get your output right here. Okay, so the reason why I'm not using an environment like Python, VS Code, is because there is, a hassle of initially setting up everything. So I think as a beginner, that might be, a bit of a steep curve to get on. So I just wanted this process to be seamless. Okay, so just come to this website and let's get started. So today's topic will be variables. So very simple topic. Um, to be honest, this doesn't even have much to do with coding. I'm sure if you have, gone and taken a basic maths course, you might have definitely come across this, right? I'm talking about like middle school maths. Okay. So when you say something like x is equal to 7, okay, what does this mean? So we are saying that x is a empty box, a container, which I have assigned a value to. Okay, I've assigned a value to. I have assigned this value integer 7. Okay, so now if I want to display something in Python, I have to use this print statement, self-explanatory, right? Print something, and I have to use this open and close bracket, and in the middle I'm going to print x. Okay, so what this code is saying is I'm going to print whatever value is inside this variable x, which happens to be 7 in this case. So if I go ahead and run this code, I'm going to get 7. Makes sense, right? Pretty basic. Now this is important syntax. You can't just, print x as like this. Okay, this will give you an error. Okay, the syntax in programming languages really matter. So when you get the error, the compiler itself can help you out sometimes when it says, did you mean print open bracket x close bracket, right? So this was pretty convenient for a beginner. So you can just go ahead and fix this error yourself. So these syntax are not just randomly made up. It's a set of rules you have to abide by when you're writing program code. Okay. So now let's get into some arithmetic operations that can be performed in Python. So you can perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and there are two types of division. So I'll explain that when we get to it, that part. So firstly, let's see what happens when I say print x plus 2. Okay, this should give me an output 9. Obviously, right? Because x is a box which has 7 inside, and I'm saying inside that box add another integer 2. So now the total inside would be 9, right? Which is what's being printed here. Basic stuff. Doesn't have much to do with programming right now. It's just basic maths. So if I say print x minus 2, this would give me 5, and print x into 2. Okay, so in coding, into, that is multiplication, is represented with an asterisk symbol. Okay, so this would give me 9, 5, 14, right? So basic addition, subtraction, multiplication. Now let's talk about the two types of division, right? So let's see what happens when I say x backslash 2 and x percentage 2 or modulo 2. Let's see what happens. So I'm getting 3.5 and 1. Okay, it's pretty obvious what these 3.5 and 1 are. So when you divide 7 by 2, you first get a quotient, right? The quotient is 3.5, which is what I've got right here. And since 7 is not perfectly divisible by 2, I get a remainder, which is what 1 is, right? So this is some basic arithmetic operations that can be performed in an integer data type. Now, X is an integer because 7 does not have any decimal. Okay, so you can confirm this by going and typing print type X. Okay, so this will just display a statement saying class int. Okay, int is again short form for integer. So basically saying that X is an integer data type. Okay, now if I say X is equal to 7.0 instead of 7, I'm talking about float data type. Okay, so now you can see that it says float, and all my answers which were not having any decimal point before are now having decimal points because now we are dealing with float. Okay, so if you specifically wanted to print your answers in integer instead of float, that is, you didn't want this decimal, you can do some type conversion. Okay, so type conversion refers to the process of converting one data type to another. So this output right now currently is a float. So if I just went ahead of it and typed int with parentheses for x plus 2, this would convert my answer from 9.0 to a 9. So from float to an integer, as you can see right here. So what we just did here is called type conversion. It's the process of converting one data type to another. Okay, so far we have talked about integer and float data type. Okay, now I want to talk about another interesting data type, which for you might be a little more tangible at this stage. And I'm talking about string data type. Okay, so string is basically a concatenation of character, sequence of character. So whenever you're typing a string in Python, you need to always encapsulate it within two double quotes, or you can use single quotes also. In Python, double quotes and quote mean the same thing. You can use it interchangeably, but you need to stick to one thing throughout the code. You can't use a single quote in the beginning and a double quote at the end. That would give you an error. Okay, so just pick one and stick to that. Okay, now if I print type of X, this should give me str, which is a short form for string. Okay, now let's play around a little. So I'm going to define y as another string world. Okay, now I want you to print x plus y. This should give me hello world. Okay, you can clearly see what's going on here. X and y were two strings, and here plus does not mean addition in the conventional sense of integers. It means concatenation, right? So you can see that both these variables were combined, and I got this output hello world. Okay, so this was strings. Now I'm not going to get into string operations, and because I feel like that's a more advanced topic. So now I'm just brushing through all the data types. Okay, so the last data type that I want to talk about is the Boolean data type. So Boolean means either true or false. Okay, true or false. So y is equal to false. Now there's a specific reason why I capitalize T and F. Okay, you can't just randomly capitalize it. If you just type a normal F, this wouldn't be valid. This would give you an error. Okay, so you need to capitalize it because Python is case sensitive. Okay, you need to remember that. So what's the use case for this data type uh, X? So let me get into a more complex example. So let me say I'm writing a game. Okay, and I want my character. I'm going to define a property for my character that is alive. So this variable I'm going to say is true in the beginning of the game. Okay, so I'll just give you some very basic Python if statements. So I know if statement comes a little later, but I'm just going to get a little ahead of myself and get to if statements. I think this will be the next lecture. So if alive um, is, or basically let me just say if alive, I'm going to say print player is alive. Okay, If not, or else, I'm going to print player is dead. Okay, so this is, I get like a little more complex Python code, but I think it's very obvious what's going on here. Okay, I've written a simple if and else statement. So I just wanted to, convey what might be the use case for a data type like Boolean. Okay, just basic true or false, because sometimes this is a little vague and you might not understand what the use case for such a data type is. So I went ahead with this example. So when I run this code, it's going to say player is alive. So let me say that, while writing the game, this is a little more complex topic. So let's say there is some collision that happens and alive changes to false. Okay, the player dies. Then my code will stop and, we are going to get a message saying player is dead. So it's fine if you didn't understand exactly what this was, because this is a little more, intermediate topic, if else statement, which we haven't got to yet. But I just wanted to convey the use case for a data type like Boolean. Otherwise, this gets a little vague to understand. Okay, so this is it for this video, guys. So in this lecture, we covered variables, the type of variables, the operations you can perform with these variables, and basic print statements. So in the next upcoming videos, we'll be covering more and more intermediate topics, and we'll soon get into problem solving. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching.